Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 2, 3, 4, 15 for the 15th of October for the Ukraine war, or the Russian special military operation in Ukraine. And just for a friendly note, if you are pro-Ukrainian and you don't like bad news, you don't like to get emotional damage, I suggest you don't watch this video. Yeah, you can leave now, because the information, the intel that we receive over the past 24 hours, more than 2/3 is from pro-Russian sources or the Russian Ministry of Defense. And there's only some information from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and literally no information from pro-Ukrainian source, because I think they are freaking out. So I suggest you just leave. Yeah. So better than you just watch and get angry. Spoil your day. Since I also know you guys pretty well, so if you don't believe and don't trust pro-Russian sources or the Russian Ministry of Defense because you think that they're always lying, nothing happened. Everything is perfect, it's good, all is good. So why watch? Don't need to watch. Go and sip some tea, eat some MSG. And I'll start off with some the World War III pending kind of doom. Let's start off with this. The Russian allies, all the countries like China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Serbia, Tajikistan, and Belarus has all either urged their citizens to leave Ukraine or they have closed their embassy. And significant to note is that all these countries are all very friendly or allies of the Russian Federation, and they are mostly either very friendly or they are part of the CIS. And as such, one of them is Serbia, and Serbia has announced that they will be temporarily closing their embassy in Kiev, and then they will be working from Belgrade. So this is official from the Serbian Ministry of Foreign Affairs site. And so this is very concerning, because what do they know that we do not know? Of course, I think if you guys have been following me, I'm sure you know just as well as I do what is about to come. And this is nothing to do with being pro-Russia or not pro-Russia. Reality is reality, because Belarusian equipments are now getting tactical signs or symbol markings. So the Russians are famous for having V or Z on their, or Z, depending on which country you're from, on their vehicles. The Belarusian equipments are given a new tactical sign. Basically, it's a triangle with a Z inside. So triangle or Z with a Z inside. So which is pretty bad sign, because there's a Z inside. So whether they will be deployed in this war remains to be seen. But having tactical signs means they are preparing for combat, which is not a good sign. And there's Russian deployment arriving at Belarus, according to information posted by Intel Slava. They said that the invasion components of regional groupings of forces, this is a terrible English, begin to arrive at Belarus from Russia. And footages has came out of MiG-31 fighters armed with Kinzhals or Dagger, hypersonic missiles flying over Minsk. So it's not just one, multiple of them, and there is quite a number of footages of it. Should I show you? Okay, so let me show you. So I'm not sure how they are able to see the Kinzhal. Okay, enough. So it's very boring. Okay, so so over 20 minutes flights of MiG-31 was recorded, and southwest of Minsk there is a railway of Belarusian equipments spotted in Fanipal. Sounds like a very fun place. And at the Fanipal, you cannot get fanny pack, but you're gonna see Belarusian military equipments marked with a triangle with a Z. So that's where the marking was first spotted. And there is also from yesterday, which is what this summary is actually all about, because you need to go to the next day before you know everything that happened on the previous day, in case you guys are new to what SITREPs are all about. And there is a gathering of Russian and Belarusian forces within Gomel. And Gomel is a pretty, discomforting place, I guess, because this is where you can launch attack into Chernihiv. So forces gathering here will kind of not so link with what was expected, where the Belarusian is forming a combined force with Russia. By rights is supposed to counteract with whatever is happening in Poland. So let's see what is this all about. And within Russia at the Belgorod region, one of the training grounds suffered shooting attacks, if I'm not wrong. I think it's shooting attacks. From the Russian side, they call this a terrorist attack. And the result of this shooting, 11 people were killed, 15 were injured and taken to the hospital. And this happens during I think a live fire exercise. This is a fire training, which means a live firing exercise. Basically, you are at the range shooting, and then two terrorists or two person was killed, in this attack, which means that this so-called terror attack by these two person killed 11, injured 15. I think they just sprayed the assault rifle, I guess. And based on some rumors that's online, they say that it's probably from one of the Central Asian countries. So let's see how this goes. Not much other information that I've seen. And I think that's all from the strategic or geopolitical front. There's a lot more crazy stuff happening regarding fuel and nuclear fuel and whatever. I'm not going to cover that here. So moving down to the southern front, where we have the Kherson Offensive. So for those that have watched the previous video of the Kherson Offensive, more information has been revealed by the Russian Ministry of Defense. So as I go through this information, you will start to realize that it kinds of adds more to what I've reported in the previous video, which is why I kept emphasizing you cannot discount Ministry of Defense information, because only they have more complete information of exactly what's happening on the ground, and it's also up to them to whether they want to actually tell us all of them. And be given the complaints in Russia by the politicians, they have now add more details, and these details allow us to plot a lot more stuff on the map, and which also shows the limitation of pro-Russian sources and independent sources about what they can find out happening on the ground. And the Russian Ministry of Defense definitely is a major source to really understand what is happening. So the Kherson Offensive is coincided with actually fighting at the Mykolaiv region and the Mykolaiv Front. While they launched the massive Kherson Offensive, at the Mykolaiv side, they also launched their offensive over at Ternovy Pody as well as at Zeleny High. Somehow the Russians seems, the modus operandi is always to massively shell the attacking troops with artillery, and this strategy or tactic seems to be really effective, as we have seen for months. And it only did not work, in the September period, where the whole of that September there's just a significant lack of troops across all fronts. So otherwise, these two attacks had not yielded the results the Ukrainians might want. They have been trying to fight for Ternovy Pody and Zeleny High for like forever. I have no idea why they are so obsessed with this position where they could have just go straight for Kherson. So maybe there's a gold mine over here, or maybe there's a there's a mana pool here that you can gain some mana, and then so that you can cast more magic spell. The Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 was shot down over Kaiserlivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is shot down by air defense, but very near to the front, so nothing surprising. And that's all from the Mykolaiv Front. Over at the Kherson Front, where we have the Kherson Massive Super Duper Uber Offensive, which actually is rather super duper uber, because you can see the number of icons, the blue icons of the fighting. Yeah, this attack is actually pretty big. So there is fighting reported at Tamarine. So this is not reported in my previous video updates, because this is only coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense. They say that there is an attack up to 1 mechanized infantry company. So every offensive is launched by a force of up to a mechanized infantry company. And to be honest, That's not a lot of troops. There's probably, you know, 4 vehicles, I guess, or maybe 16. I don't know how do you count. So I don't know if you count by infantry or count by vehicles. So so anyway, there's a company attacking Tamarini. So another one, there was so we have the other one, Zeleny High, which have reported in Mykolaiv and Ternovi Poli, and Tamarini is this one, and there's another one attacking at Sadok, which is here. And on top of that, in the previous yesterday's Russian Ministry of Defense report, because this information is coming from today's one, which is talking about yesterday. This is talking about the day before, I guess. There is attack towards Ishchenka and Koshora, and the major attack that I was reporting in the previous video, attacks around this region from Sukhanove all the way to Duchany. So it seems like, you know, Duchany, the southern half of Duchany, is definitely under Russian control, and the attack on Duchany is definitely not coming from the north, but coming from the west. So this way in, and there's fighting reported at Duchany and between Duchany and Milove, because some people, you know, keep saying Milove is under Ukrainian control or something. You know, please wake up your idea. There is totally not even photos or videos of either side at Milove. So, but given information of fighting, it is impossible that they are at Milove. And as such, you know, Sablukivka and Kashkarivka is under Russian control, because there's no evidence or no possibility for the Ukrainians to be under this position, as there is Russian artillery deployed on the eastern bank of the Dnipro River, and they are actually participating in the defense of this region. And if there are Ukrainian forces in this region, they're going to be bombarded to hell, and it's unlikely that they are there. So a lot of details in terms of the fighting. I would recommend you to go and watch the previous video for more information of how the war has been fought in this region. What I can tell you is that they have been fighting towards this entire front, and they start off with heavy artillery being fired from Petropavlivka or this area, and then the Ukrainians sent in the Humvees and pickup trucks, you know, all the fast-moving vehicles across the field to, you know, try to penetrate through the Russian defense line. And this was then spotted by the Russian probably drones or something. They started to use their artillery to bombard, and this first vanguard suffered heavy losses, but they are backed up by mechanized and armored vehicles moving behind them to try to take advantage of the penetrations that they have gotten. This is a tried and tested strategy and tactic, you know, they have been using at the Kharkiv region, in the Balaklia offensive, at Izium region, and also, you know, in the current front that they are trying, and also, you know, the previous Kherson offensive that allows them to capture all these grounds, all this area here, is no longer working somehow. But, you know, this is the best bet they have, because they do not have air supremacy, and they tried to raid the defense line, backed up by armor, so that they can secure the captured or the breakthroughs. And this did not work, but the Ukrainians have air defense in these 3 locations, and the Russians seem to know it. They sent drones suicide drones to attack, including Garand 2 and Lancet drones. They attack the SAM sites located at Murakivka, Zeleny High, and Novorecheve. And as a result, after all this surface-to-air missile system was taken out, Russian Air Force went into action and took out all the surviving troops that survived from the artillery fire, and take out everything that they can. Then after that, they started to attack the starting point where the attack come from, which is around the Novokharkovka region to Novokamyanka region. And while the Russian forces launched a counter-offensive towards Novokamyanka, and they try to clear out whatever Ukrainian troops that is scattered across the entire battlefield. So, you know, pretty heavy emotional damage, if you ask me, if I'm pro-Ukrainian. Luckily, I'm not, and I'm also not pro-Russia, so I'm just want the war to end quickly. So, yeah, if you don't believe me, you know, whatever, man. Why I care what you think about me. So anyway, so this is the entire situation, and the Russians also did destroy 5 different pontoon crossings across the Inhulets River to prevent a easy reinforcement from the Ukrainian side. And there is also a counter-offensive reported at Suky Stavok, where the Russians take the offensive action towards this position. So might be related to the destruction of the pontoon crossing, because once you take out the pontoon crossing, there can be no reinforcement and no retreat. The Russian went into a offensive action. So which is kind of interesting, because you can see this attack towards the Marini and also, you know, Suky Stavok. So this is a really far place to go. So maybe it did not really go that far. Maybe it's only until here, maybe 4 or 5 kilometers in, and the attack has been stopped. I don't think they are able to go 13, 14 kilometers so far deep. But you know, is the report just say towards, because there is no other settlements here. So going towards makes sense. And so at the northern part of the Kherson Front, there is a major shelling and airstrike reported at Osokorivka. So you might think, where the hell? So far away from the front line, right? So apparently, remember I mentioned about pro-Russian sources reported there is training, amphibious training around this region. Remember I said that they are doing amphibious landing training around this coastal area, and then they probably leave again. These forces is taken note by the Russian Ministry of Defense, and they actually launch a major airstrike, including missiles and artillery on this amphibious force located near Osokorivka. And they reportedly, I have no idea how true is this, taken out 50 Ukrainian troops, 5 fast boats, 2 barges, 5 tanks, and 4 infantry combat vehicles. I do not know who is doing the counting, but yeah, this is a pretty big force. So according to pro-Russian sources, the objective of the Ukrainian forces currently, they have a huge objective, which is to capture the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant before the onset of winter, because they are running out of electricity because of all the major infrastructures, right? And taking a Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant with the protection of the IAEA might be a good way to keep themselves warm in the coming winter. However, the Russians seems to be really aware of this, and they have been taking out forces, including at Zaporizhzhia as well. I did not indicate there's a major force around Zaporizhzhia that was a missile strike, but because I don't report missile strikes that are just hitting troops, because that will go on forever. So, but this is significant because it's an amphibious force. So, but of course, some people don't believe that the Ukrainians are launching all this suicide-like, amphibious attack towards Hoda, because I also did report a few days ago there was a attempted landing. See, attempted landing, infiltration to Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant by saboteurs, which I feel that if you don't want to believe it, I think it's all right. I don't think it's a big problem, because I have no evidence to back all these things up as well. I just report whatever I see in the sources, and it's really up to you to believe. So anyway, at the Zaporizhzhia region, there's nothing, no ground offensive happening on the first 3 points of the Zaporizhzhia line. However, we do have a footage of coming out from Zaporizhzhia, where the Russian kamikaze UAV, the Lancet, destroying the S-300 system. And this seems to be a trend. The Russians are now using these drone strikes, all these suicide drones, on surface-to-air missile system, which is where I also have reported over here at the Davydiv region, which means that this is a new type of tactic or strategy by the Russian side. Perhaps they realize that the surface-to-air missile systems do not have the capacity or capability to take out drones, and with the drones to take out all these surface-to-air missile systems, especially they can also help out with surveillance, then the Russian Air Force can operate freely over the battlefront. And this is going to be a very major problem for the Ukrainian side, because I don't think they have a solution to this. There is a lot of pledges of surface-to-air missile system from the EU or the NATO countries, but by the time they reach here in the front line, they will be pretty irrelevant. And not just that, the numbers that they are providing is awfully insufficient, given the scale of the war happening in Ukraine. Check this out. if just for some context, the amount of Russian, the conquered space of Russia is basically they have already conquered on top the entire of Austria, or maybe the entire of Czech Republic, or the entire Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg has been conquered by Russia, effectively given the area size. So we are talking about very, very huge battlefront. So the kind of woeful help that the NATO is providing, they might as well don't help. If you want to help, like really help. Don't give this kind of half-hearted help, and then everybody gonna be cold in the winter. So at the very end of the Zaporizhzhia Line, around at the Velika Novosilka region, the Russians continue their offensive or attack in this region, where they are still fighting at Bremivka. And apparently the height that they are talking about is probably around this region, this area here, just north of Neshkushny. So the Russians are currently attacking this position, and this actually put into some kind of corroboration that maybe the Ukrainian claims of the control over Neshkushny might actually be true, because the Russians actually need to attack near Neshkushnoye. So interesting situation here, which is why I also stress that all these bombardment reports by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry do have certain truth in it. Whether how but is it a full town being controlled by them, or partial, or just near it? Of course we don't know, but indicating it does give us some perspective. So rather than we think that the front line is way further from where it actually is. So moving on to the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, the entire fighting around the Voleda region has kind of died out. There's no more fighting. All these pointy things has become a pretty relic. However, the Russians are still launching their attacks. They are fighting at Bojeda and also at Marinka. All this information are coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The Russians do not report on the Donetsk region over around the Donetsk city, because I think to them it's pretty boring. So and there's fighting at Nevelsky and also at Povomaysky. Like I said, all this information is from Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and that's all from the Donetsk Front. There's pretty much nothing much to talk about. And also for those that missed the previous summary, there is rumors that the Russians have captured Krasnohorivka, Opayne, and Vodian in a semi-encirclement of the Avdiivka city. So but take that with a bucket load of salt. Yeah, you can make salted fish with that. Over at the Bakhmut Front, so in case you guys are lost, so you see Kherson region, Zaporizhzhia region, Donetsk region. So at the Bakhmut Front, I also call this the Eastern Front. So there is fighting reported at Opayne. According to the Ukraine Defense Ministry, there's fighting reported at Bakhmut, at Bakhmutsky, as well as at Soleda. And there's also information of fighting at Yakovlivka. There is no details, because all this information is coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and they don't really like to give details, of literally anything, except for misinformations or crazy stuff about how clinically depressed the Russian forces are, or how evil the Russian government is, and how badly they are treating their soldiers. Those they go into a lot of details. Battlefront, no, they just name drop places. That's all. Over at the Siversk Front, there is fighting reported at Vasily. According to War Gonzo, so they say that there's an assault operation in the area of Vasily. Artillery is working in the city itself. I have no idea how you call this a city. So I kept thinking that, am I getting the wrong Vasily? But I cannot find the real Vasily, if there's one. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry have claimed control over Berestove, as they reported that they have defended an enemy attack at Berestove. So take it whatever you want. There is an attack reported at Spurny as well by the Russian side against the Ukrainian position, also by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So that's all from the Siversk Front. And over to the Lyman Front. At the Lyman Kreminna Front, the fighting still rages across the Zaporizhzhia River, as both sides. Russian Ministry of Defense claim control of Toske. They say the the Ukrainians launched a recon by fire at Toske, but the Ukrainians also claim control over Toske, saying that the Russians are launching an attack against Toske. So you see, repulse enemy attack in the areas of Toske. So yeah, you'll see which pill you want to eat, the blue one or the red one. So you see, so the Russian one is a bit more descriptive. They said that there is a recon by combat, and the involved unit was driven back to the initial position as a result of fire attack. So blah blah, number of troops are killed or destroyed in these multiple locations. So no detail, but it's also not so detailed. This one is outdated. And then there is shelling reported near Zaporizhzhia. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian forces are redeploying from Toske to Zaporizhzhia was hit by artillery fire. And so yeah, and then let's see. There is also no shelling reported near Mykolaiv as to stop Ukrainian forces from crossing the river. And then there is fighting reported at Terny. And then there's also no conflicting reports on this small little town of Novosavdove, as the Ukrainians and the Russian Ministry of Defense both claim that they are defending in this region, and they both claim to have control over the region. So yeah, as you can see, a fog of war. And then moving up north, we are now moving closer towards the Svatove Front. There is fighting reported at Makivka as the Ukrainians tried to do recon by combat, and then attempted crossing was stopped by shelling. And further up north at Ryhorivka, not really Ryhorivka, but actually at Serhivka, the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed control over this location of Serhivka, as they reported that they have fight off the recon by combat or recon forces of the Ukrainian side at this location. So, and over at the position of Stemakivka, the Russians also claim control of this location, as they also reported the shelling to prevent crossings by the Ukrainian forces. And we are now into the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, information seems to have dried out. Either there is nothing happening, or there's no intel about this. There's fighting reported at Belgorod. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry, there's a Ukrainian attempt by the 92nd Mechanized Brigade to launch an offensive towards Belgorod. However, they have not seems to have touched the Russian lines, because there is a preemptive fire attack, basically artillery shelling on this offensive force. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry, 50 Ukrainian soldiers and 5 armored vehicles, 3 pickups was with large caliber machine guns, I believe these are Humvees, was destroyed, and 3 M777 were destroyed in Zaporizhzhia, which I did not indicate on the map because it's not important to me, because I'm more concerned with frontline actions. There is no more actions reported across the entire of the Kupyansk Front anymore, and there is shelling, however, reported at Voronezh. So there is heavy attack by Russian artillery on the stronghold of Voronezh, which the Ukrainians have dug in. And to make matters worse for the Ukrainian forces in this position, the Russians have destroyed the pontoon crossing near Voronezh. So they will make the this position a bit harder to tend to, because now reinforcements have to come from Voronezh through Kheryankivka to Voronezh, rather than use this crossing that they have established early on in the Kupyansk or rather the Osokorivka offensive. So anyway, this is the whole summary of the Ukraine war for the day of 234 for the 15th of October. So the Ukraine time at this time is around, I think, 4 o'clock. You see Ukraine time, so it's 4:10 p.m. At this moment. Most of the fighting information for today, the 16th of October, have not came out as per the start of this recording. So please don't tell me things have changed, this is outdated. Yeah, because it's a summary. Yeah, get a life. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do share this with your friends and contact if you find this is useful, and do press the subscribe button if you have not subscribed to us, and please press the like button to take out all this, you know, evil YouTube shadow banning forces that's hiding beneath the like button. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope the audio now is better now. Yeah, I'll see you in the next update.